تفضل.
First of all, I thank you very much. I'm Akasai from Addis Ababa University. I'm an Ethiopian. I personally totally agree with you, I don't know his name. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. In which you simply come out with some, yeah, okay. But I have some additional point that I'm going to really suggest. Now, coming to some of the point that he mentioned concerning the funding, yes, I think this concept of funding has been a crucial problem for Africa and in general for developing countries. It has been since the Second World War up to now. It's the cancer. I think one of the things which is very, conservative from professional point of view regarding funding is always we expect everything to come from the north, from outside. I think time has come now, really, to come to our senses that we at least have to defend our profession. Means, really, we have to come to our government to give priority for culture. So that is really the first thing that we have to know. You mentioned, Egypt, for instance. But in Ethiopia, if you some of the building that the government with many problems, with many ups and downs, that he gave priority for cultural activities is also an example really in the continent. Therefore, the question of funding has to change the dimension. Rather than looking outside, we have to convince. Now, if you take AU, for instance, even in AU, in his priority activities, is there culture? The only thing that we know is the film festival at Burkina Faso, not the rest. So how could we continue going, sing outside and try to work, with the so time has come now. A challenge has to come from us, from professionals, really to create awareness within the country to convince our decision makers and politicians to give priority for culture. And I think that is the first thing concerning really the question of funding. Time has gone. There is an economic crisis in Europe, in America, everywhere. Even if you want it, can you get it now? If you didn't get, what will happen? So time has come, as I said. Secondly, I think the question of networking, we have to look at it from continental point of view. As you clearly mentioned, there are really professionals within Africa. There is a manpower. There is also resources. Africa has been divided north, central, western, and so on and so forth. This division can be based on colonial legacy. We know it. But there is really some point that we can exploit this regionalization. Time has to come really to use each other, to look within the continent rather than looking outside. Rather looking, someone to come from Europe or America or somewhere, why not really we use with the expertise within Africa? That is also another important issue that's concerning. Now, the question of partnership has been by difficulty. The problem of partnership, networking, sharing resources, honestly speaking, it's a problem of ourselves. Let me know in Ethiopia how the museum and the archival centers are working. Even when you look at the legal aspect, Ethiopian Archival Center have their own, and the museum have their own. They contradict each other. They didn't come. They didn't speak each other. No, this is really. How could we, unless we work our own homework, how could we think? Sometimes, really, our decision makers are not professionals. It's we, in fact, who can come with concrete, issue to convince them. So I think this is another problem. The question of ownership, Mr. Chairman. Now, I think Madam has gone. She raised a very good question. The question of responsibility. Again. Now, you know, to whom it belongs? For instance, manuscript, to the church religious group, or to the individuals, or to the municipality? Again, when it comes really intellectual ownership, the question, really that is a crucial problem, which I didn't really look into. How could we ask a restitution unless we really solve our own difference within the country and the continent at large? The problem is always rotates within ourselves. We don't have a language to speak each other. Many regional centers has been created, we know. Sisiba is one, which I know it very well. Not only Sadakam, we know it very well. Africom has been created by ICOM. It's collapsed, it's not anymore. Even the question of training, creating somewhere, is it a good strategy? We have to learn. You know, to make a mistake is normal, but not to learn from the mistake, which is a mistake. We are repeating. Are we trying this center to associate with higher institution, or we are going to create somewhere in Nairobi or Cairo or Addis Ababa or Dakar, which usually we know it? No, I think we have to learn. We have to go back to our senses. So that is also another important issue that we have to look into it. Now, overlapping responsibility again within Africa. Now let's think the AU. How many sections? The cultural. Leave alone within Ethiopia again. Let me mention my own country. So, you know, I don't want to take all your time by saying there are so many things that we can do. Therefore, now I think time has come to see back our own weakness and try to really come to our senses. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There is somebody else?
Thank you very much. Yes? It's not working. It's working. I would like to just talk about the point of funding. It is true because in our experience at the Alexandria Library, most of the funds used to purchase our needs of the laboratories and the chemical treatment and everything come from international grants. And by time we need to upgrade these equipments and to keep with the ever-changing technology, and so we need more grants. But from our experience also, we think first we developed other methods like in funding. We try to develop other methods in funding. Maybe I will talk about them later in details, but the bigger problem we faced is finding qualified personnel. It's not a small issue, it's a big issue. I was talking to my colleague here in the Egyptian Museum, Mr. Mu'min Othman, yesterday about an experience they had and our experience. We had more difficulty in finding qualified personnel, even in things that may seem very simple or more simple in our minds than funding and such things. like cataloging, for instance, because we need personnel who know the languages, different languages, and can deal with, and are highly educated and can deal with these things. And he told me they had difficulties in cataloging the Egyptian Museum's library. The Egyptian Museum library, which is mostly printed books. So I'm sure we have more difficulty in dealing with manuscripts and things that are not studied efficiently. Also, I noticed from our last meeting, maybe most of you weren't in Dakar, Senegal in 2008, but lots of things are only repeating themselves. Like we are making good speeches and everything, but not so many things were done on the ground. And I was talking also to my colleague here and our deputy director, Mr. Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, and we were saying that he was saying that if we just produced just a simple Excel sheet with the names of the, for instance, the manuscripts in West Africa from 2008 till now, it would have been much more useful than 100 meetings and 10 conferences, or in anywhere, and it wouldn't take tenth the effort and the cost. It won't cost much, but we need things on the ground and things, practical things and practical measures, and I don't think it will be that hard to, if we have the spirit of cooperation and the will to do things. I don't think it will be that hard to do. Thank you very much.
We have no many time because we are supposed to finish this meeting at 5 minutes to 6.